Good morning, everybody. We are on page 353 on today, Tuesday, November 3rd. We're in the midst of the halachos pertaining to Nitilat Yadayim on page 353, source number 9. The Mishnah says in Yadayim, Hamaim shenifsalu mishtiyas behema. Let's say an animal has a trough and drinks some water, and there's some water that remains. Bekelim poslim. So what exactly is this referring to? Meaning, can you use it in terms of, I should say, what about, maybe the trough was a bad example, because let's say he drinks out of almost a mayan, right? In terms of for mikvah, he drinks out of the mikvah water, right? Can you use that water for mikvah? It says pasol b'kakos ksherim nafal l'sochan dio. What about if some dye fell into it? You know, like a red dye or of some sort. So, kumus v'kankunim nishtu mar'en psulin, asam malacha o shashar behen pizzo psulin. So again, we see that there's there's a demand in halacha for if there's a color change. How does the effect of water which has been dyed, how does that affect things that require this water base? Okay? So on this, and again, this is our topic, which I want to just focus in on, the Beis Yosef says the following. If, and again, I think we referenced this the other time, if the water has been nifsalu because of shtiyas behema, it's become, I guess, gross or contaminated or disgusting or smelly, right? So the Chazal only made a takana to use water ella beruin l'shtiyas behema, that an animal would actually drink. Okay, but however, if you want to use even though the water might get a little bit disgusting, nonetheless you would be allowed to use it for a mikvah, right? And I think we made reference to that last time, and also for Tevilas Yadayim. Okay, and I think we said that last time as well. So again, when it comes to Nitilas Yadayim for bread, we're going to have a higher standard of the, I guess, shall we say, the cleanliness of water than we will for being in a mikvah
or tefillah.
If
you go up to a mayan, where you know an animal's drank from, even if just drank from it once, you can't take water.
So if the water
and use that as an Nitilat Yadayim.
So I guess the water flows. If the water flows, then it'd be okay.
Sure, almost
all water is like that.
From animals, right?
No, so I guess the water is clean. But if the water is drinkable by animal, I guess it has to be disgusting. Oh no.
I mean,
yeah, it has to be kigon tzruchim. Right. So it has to be seruach. It has to be some type of.
So it's not just an animal drinking from it. It's like nasty water.
You want to play? I actually can't control the weather. You want to play?
Yeah, so much so that even an animal wouldn't drink it. Right?
Oh, okay.
The animal, and now it's like, shall we say, it's gotten all gross, or meaning, I guess there's leftover water. So the animal drank what it wanted and kind of left over the disgusting remnants behind. Mm-hmm. So. Again, so the shinui mar'eh, when we see that the water has been discolored, it only invalidates it from a Nitilat Yadayim perspective. Okay, and in fact, this is what the Mishnah Berurah says.
Right, because you can go to mikvah in the ocean.
Right, exactly. Which we would never, or I guess you would mikvah in Dead Sea. It'd be pretty hard to submerge yourself under it, right? But
I think you could.
I mean, you'd be in a lot of pain, but yeah. So, mash nislo mai mishuni mare dechodu hu davka kishnoto b'kli yadav, aval betovel yadav with 40 sa'ah ain't a posel hashuni mare koldu. But when it says shuni mare, if the water's been discolored, it doesn't posel for a mikvah. Kamo b'tfilas aguf, or if you want to do tfilas yadayim. Okay, and that's what he's referring to. It's only if it's a problem for Nitilat Yadayim. What about if? And this is interesting. Take a look. What happens if the water has got something else fell into it? And that's what the Mishnah Berurah says in 13. Just jump down to 13. Other things that, let's say, transform its color. Even if you don't see the actual glops in there, but some of the water has been changed in color, right? Or if, let's say, smoky, it got smoky, the water. Right? What about if there's mud, or what about if there's dust or dirt, and now it's transformed the water? Right? No, that's not considered shinamara. Mishum, the derech gidul hamayim who can. Sometimes, often, the water appears that way. Again, in a lake or river, sometimes you will have that mud at the bottom. He says that would actually, that'd be okay for Nitilat Yadayim. And so, and this is actually brought down halacha.
Not for bread, though. Not Nitilat Yadayim for bread. Because you said that we have higher standards. Right?
So again, if it's let's say smoky, right? So it's not red like a dye, but it's been like smoky. Let's say because of dirt. You ever seen like if you have like dirt or dust at the bottom and it move and you stir it around, it kind of like rises to the top of the water. So that I actually think is going to be okay, even for Nitilat Yadayim. Yeah. Yalkut Yosef. See what Yalkut Yosef says. Mamash nishtani marahen ben chamas atzman ben chamas davar shenafel dochan ben chamad mekaman psulim. Mamash nitztavu nishtani marid lava. What about if it goes white again, like this cloudy mist of some sort, murky mist, or right? I don't know, limestone. V'yeshbem kimin anan varafel. Right, have this like cloudy and murkiness to it. V'toch kama regaim ne'alama hanan v'mayim nitzlalim. So and then it settles. So ksherin little. That's there you go. That's okay to use, right?
Sometimes in some water fountains, even like some old ones by New York, like ones that aren't like automatic, like the bubbles will get so white. The water looks white. It looks gross.
Really?
5 minutes and
it settles. Yeah. Right there you go. I don't know if I drink it, but yeah. So there you go. There's a good example. That'd be okay to use.
Story about that.
What about water? Shemush mushmayim. It was used already. Meaning, if let's say, look at 15. Asab. B'mayim malacha. Let's say I used this water for malacha. What does it mean I use the water for malacha? I use it to wash dishes. Right? I'm a big environmentalist. I want to reuse the water as many times as possible. Right? So what's it called?
People do that for sure, like in LA.
Oh, they do, eh? Oh, for sure. Well, there's no water in LA. You guys have a drought, right?
Like they reuse water.
Right. So let's say you shower. And you want to now use that water for Nitilat Yadayim, right? Because when you shower, there's some water, so you collect all the water, use it Nitilat Yadayim, or you wash dishes. So you can use that water for Nitilat Yadayim, right? Sheshar behem pito. I don't know why you want to do this, but a guy takes his bread and soaks it in water. Why would you want to do that for?
Brooks. He's what's it called? Maybe he's a hot dog eating champion.
Right.
Oh, right.
Huh? I don't understand. Why would you want to soak your bread in water?
What they're doing, they dip the hot dog in the water.
Hot dog bun.
Yeah, it's a hot dog in the bun. Yeah. They dip the whole thing in the water and then they
it goes down faster.
crunch it into a ball and then
Wow. That's interesting. What?
Joey Chestnut.
No, what's his name?
I don't know what that is.
Kobayashi.
Who's Kobayashi? Who's that?
The two god of hot dog eating.
He's like this skinny guy.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
He can eat like 100 hot dogs.
Like a 120-pound guy, and he eats like 52 hot dogs.
In how long?
Like 10 minutes or something. I don't know. It's crazy.
That's crazy. Anyways, so what happens if you dip your bread in the water and then you want to use that water, right? Because you've dipped the bread in, there's still that's not absorb all the water. So again, you've done malacha with this water. No good. And even if you, let's say, Tzinen, what's it called? Sieve. If you put it through like a sieve, a strainer, that's a better word. If you strained the water, yayin b'mayin, so you took like water, right? You poured water over wine to strain it out, even that would be possible. Oh, there you go. Use our example, washing dishes. But if let's say the dishes are clean, all you're doing is like a quick, like almost rinse ba'alma. No, that's not been used for. They weren't really used at all, right? So
wait, so
you could use it, or
you said that you could use.
What's the difference between?
It's already clean. They're not.
What's like the main difference between these examples and the examples that we saw before? Where
because
it's okay?
I'll tell you why. Because you would not be able to tell that this water necessarily was used to, let's say, have your bread soaked into. Right? Let's say there's no leftover bread comes flying around.
Which water?
So I take water, I put bread in it to soften my bread. I guess it's stale or older, and I want to eat this bread. And now that water shouldn't be used. Or I washed dishes with that water, or I showered with that water. You couldn't really tell that it was used water.
So you sure so that already...
So you can't use it.
No, but
You
what's
can't
the
use mine that was used before for Nitilat Yadayim.
What's the difference between these examples where it's not allowed and the examples that we saw before, where if it gets water gets murky?
Because there the water is not being used. The water just gets murky. Let's say there's some like dust on the bottom, or Arvin was saying, let's say there's a air bubbles, right? That after a couple minutes it'll settle and it'll clear up. So water's not used. I just took it out of a tap, right?
Did we say the basic rule was that if a dog would drink it, it's okay?
So you'd think that, and all of a sudden there's this additional principle called used water, pure also, or water that's been dyed. It could be a dog would drink.
To include all animals.
Yeah, why not? Right?
Because you can't use it.
But you still can't use it.
Or
Or
if it's just a dog.
if you take food coloring and add food coloring to water, it has no impact on the taste, right? Nonetheless, if it's changed, it's now red or green, that'd be a problem for Nitilat Yadayim. And a dog would probably drink it. Why wouldn't a dog drink that water? It's because it has food coloring. It doesn't know.
Well, it's because dogs are colorblind.
Right. So meaning to use the criteria of only if it's a dog would drink it, is it okay or not okay to use? That's not good enough. Because we see there's other cases that you're still not right. It's not the only factor. So I'll give you an example of what is considered used water, and again, you'd never know. Here's an example Yalkut Yosef brings. So you take a thing of milk, so a hot bottle of milk, so you want to cool down a bottle. We do this a lot. Well, we don't do it. I guess maybe one day we will. We haven't done it yet. We want to cool down a bottle for a baby. So what do? You take this hot, because you're using hot water, because you want to make sure the water is sterile, and you add formula to it, and now you create a bottle for a baby. But it's hot, so you want to cool it off in order to give it to the baby sooner. So you put that in another pot that's holding cold water to cool off your bakbuk. Can you then use that water that really never came in contact with anything, right? It's just this plastic bottle, right? Can you use that water? No, you're not allowed to. And Nitilat Yadayim. So here's water that for sure dog would drink, right? The truth is perfectly healthy, perfectly normal. A person would drink it.
You can drink it though. It's not like it's us
You
or water.
totally could drink it, right? You could drink it, right? Again, we saw that case already. However, if, however, you wanted to, you took water in a bottle and you put it into really cold water so that the bottle would retain its cold temperature, that would be okay to do. Interesting. It's not considered malacha. For every reason, cooling down isn't the same as heating up. Meaning, cooling down from cold water to cold water is to maintain that temperature is considered as using water to cool off a bottle. I'm not quite sure why. To me,
There's no distinction between the two.
No, he says there is a distinction. He says the first case you can't use, the second case you can use. Not 100% why. To me, the water is being used to cool off. The water is being used to... water is being used to cool off in both cases. Yeah, one is to cool off, to maintain the cold. One is to...
Yeah, in one of them it's just maintaining. It's not really doing
anything.
It's almost as if you were taking out the bottle and just putting it in the temperature.
Right, but the proof is that it is doing something, else you wouldn't do it. Right? Like, if you're not doing anything, so why are you doing it? Yeah. So, meaning it is doing something. Yes, it's not having the same type of impact, I guess, or it's minimally being used. That must be the reason why. Okay. Can you use other liquids for Nitilat Yadayim? So really, we have here other liquids include fruit juices, tea, coffee, wine, soda, all those. Can you use that for Nitilat Yadayim? This is a practical situation.
But also you can't for my macaroni.
But how could you be able to use it if it changes? It's not water anymore. If it changes the appearance, it's automatically puzzle.
Shat chak, no. If it's shat chak, it might be different though.
I'm saying that's what we've been. I mean, supposedly the whole time we were just talking about can you use it or not.
Okay, good question. So you're saying the question is there any room at all to use it, or is it totally usher to use? Was there any situation to use other liquids for Nitilat Yadayim? That's a good question. So take a look at this. Let's look at the source, and then we'll jump all the way to halacha, and we'll skip what's in between in order to complete this. So take a look. The Gemara says in 17, Tanabanan, Yayin ad shelo nitan letocho mayim ever marchan b'peri gafen ela b'peri eitz v'notli mimenu liyadayim. Wow, look at this. Says the Tanakama. You would be permissible. So again, wine, until you've diluted it, You don't make it by Peri Hagafen because it's really not really so drinkable, just the eights, and you can even use it for Nitilat Yadayim. However, when you've added water to it, because we know in the times of Chazal they use very powerful wine, they need to be diluted. Then you make a Peri Hagafen, and then you can't use it for Nitilat Yadayim. That's according to Rabbi Lezer. Chachamim says benkach, you always say Peri Hagafen, and you cannot wash with it. So, what's the rationale behind why you'd be allowed to do it? Says Rashi in 18, because it's mayim. And mei peros ba'alma mikra. Mei peros, fruit juices is considered water, and fruit juices which are considered water, why can't you use it for Nitilat Yadayim? But wait a second. The color is orange. It's orange juice. The color is yellow. It's apple juice. The color... What's going on here? So, we see that there must be a difference between the change of water, the change of color, versus au natural color. Right? Meaning, if you take water and you change its color, that's a problem. But if the natural juice is that color, perhaps that's less of an issue.
Coca-Cola's natural color.
Right? Coca-Cola's natural color. So, interesting. So, however, sorry to disappoint you, go to the end, on the top of page 356. We have four different approaches, basically, in the Rishonim. The Rashba says, Yain is kosher in Nitilat Yadayim, but you're not allowed to use it l'chatchila. Why? Because it's a mamash of bizoy bochlin. Why? Why for Nitilat Yadayim? Wine is used for drinking, ceremonial purposes. You can't just use it for Nitilat Yadayim. The Rosh says, no, you can use fruit juice for Nitilat Yadayim, and that's even better than using water that's been changed because it's been dyed or gross.
But still
b'diavad. The Ravid says you could only use water in Nitilat Yadayim, and if you can't use water, if not, then you can use fruit juices. And the Mordechai says, he says, white wine you might be allowed to, but any other type of juices you would not be allowed to.
Where does the Ravid get that? How bright of a bracho the second ber rechitzat
Yadayim, not Nitilas.
Why would it say that?
I think what's bothering him is there's a stira between two different braitas. So he says, how do I resolve them? It must be two different cases.
So when we're talking about fruit juice here, are we saying that it's fresh or that it's been added? Like apple juice we have nowadays is not fresh squeezed apples.
Right, they're talking about freshly squeezed apples. They didn't have anything
Everything
else.
that we have now has been diluted a
lot more,
degree.
right.
Tropicana oranges, 100% oranges.
Right.
No,
not from concentrate. The real oranges, as opposed to apple juice today is essentially water.
But if you're using Tropicana oranges,
What about tea or coffee? What about tea or coffee?
Huh?
Wouldn't Tropicana 100% be okay if it's not from concentrate? If it
But
really is.
But remember, it's not okay. We're okay. What's the halacha? Let's just okay. The Alka Yosef says, I got bad news for you. It says 23. Imein l'mayim klav. You have no water. Mutar litol yadav b'shechar v'shar mashkin. Even using beer. Ve'ein beze mishum bizu ochlin. Why? Ki yoshet tzarech lezev. Ve'no davar ibud derech ibud. Ve'gam in behem chashash mishum psul d'shunimara. No problem with shunimara because that's mara. But v'chen b'tei or coffee, you could use Nitilat Yadayim. However, shasat chak. Especially if you're traveling, however, you cannot make such a bracha. So essentially, we said there's a machlokes of Rishonim. We know we have a klal safek brachos lahakel. Can you make a bracha on using the peros or not? For Nitilat Yadayim is a machlokes Rishonim. If it's a machlokes Rishonim, lahakel, we are lenient and we do not recite a bracha if we have to use fruit juice, tea, or coffee. But better than nothing.
Right for my macaronim,
Macaronim have a higher standard.
Lower standard.
Mayim acharonim. Let's see it inside. Okay, we'll take a look. We'll get there eventually. Okay, have a wonderful day, everybody.